Hey everyone, this is your crash course on chemistry for right before the test, so here's a Sig Fig review. Let's do this. So we're going to start by just counting the Sig Figs. This is nice and easy, I hope, by now. If I have this number right here, let's count your Sig Figs. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. This 0 does not count, so this is 4 Sig Figs. Moving on, I have this number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 digits. Let's find out which zeros count. So these first two, leading, they don't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of these counts. That is 5 Sig Figs. Moving on, I have a number in scientific notation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a wicked small number. You get to ignore all of the times 10, so you're just counting all 5 digits that come before the times 10. Moving on to this number, 9009000. So these first two zeros count, but there's no decimal point, so none of these trailing zeros count. We should have 4. So now my last number, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 digits, and all 6 digits count because there is a decimal point and there's no leading zeros. So that's 6. Alright, so now we're going to move on to scientific notation. And for this one, I'm going to actually write, so I'm going to get out of this. My first one is 1.71 times 10 to the 7th. So I started you off here. The decimal point in scientific notation always has to be directly to the right of the first non-zero digit. So all you have to do for a positive power is move the decimal point 7 places to the left. So we're going to count this out. The decimal point's already here, so we're going to count 1 place, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if you add your commas, your number looks like this, 17,100,000. Moving on, I have 2.460 times 10 to the negative 5th. Negative power means move to the left. But it's important that you include every single digit in this number that is significant. So if there's 5 and you're a negative power, that means 5 zeros, including this first one. So 5 zeros, and then we get 2, 4, 6, 0. You do need this 0 at the end. So that's this number. Moving on, we have this very long decimal. Now, keep in mind, this decimal is less than 1. So if you're less than 1, that means you are a negative power. So how are you negative? Well, you're negative by, look, 3 zeros. And you have to include every significant digit here. So you have to include the 4, the 5, the 9, and the 2 zeros here. Remember, your goal is to get your decimal after the first non-zero digit. So 4.5900 times 10, and we're going to caret that to negative 3 because you have 3 zeros that come before. All right, moving on to our last scientific notation. We have 6.78 times 10 to something. That's what we have to do. Now, these digits here are not significant, so we do not include these. Whoopsies. Times 10 to, well, let's count. So if you're putting the decimal point here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jumps. So that is 10 to the 6th. And that's how you do that problem. Okay, so that's scientific notation. Moving on to rounding. This is everyone's worst. So I assume that you all know how to multiply and divide. So these are just going to be scenarios where you get the answer and you have to round to a certain number of Sig Figs. So if I want to take this number and round it to 2 Sig Figs, I started you off here. These first 2 zeros do not count as Sig Figs, so it's not 0. Let's take a look at this part of the number right here. So 80987. We don't really have to worry about the 8 and the 7 here. We want to round to 2 Sig Figs. Now this 9 here is going to make the 0 round up to 1, so this should be 0.081. That's 2 Sig Figs there. If we take this number and round to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you actually get to keep this number the exact same. You're done. If I had to round this to 3 Sig Figs, however, let's change this to 3. Then I would have to make this a 1 and include one of my zeros to make it significant. Okay, so that one's hard. Moving on to this one, I want to round this number, 2766.7, to 2 sig figs. So I have the 2. That's good. This 7 is either going to stay a 7 or round up to an 8. You look at the 6 next to it, and that rounds the 7 up to an 8. Now, if you write 28, that is totally wrong, because you're not even close. So what you need are placeholders, and then you're done. 2800 is 2766.7 rounded to 2 sig figs. And then finally, my very last one, we're going to round this to 1 sig fig. Some people are tempted to write this, but it's 1 sig fig, so we're just going to add a bunch of zeros until you have enough. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Keep it 5 zeros. You're done. Nice job.